order the Wright County Board of Adjustment for March 7th, 2025. First order on the agenda are the minutes to the last meeting. Has everyone had a time to review the minutes for February 7th, 2024? Any changes or corrections? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes for the February 7th meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Aaron?
All right. So first item on the agenda, we have the Robert and Brenda Oberlander request. So this request was for an after-the-fact unpermitted addition onto an existing storage building, which was continued from the February 7th, 2025 meeting, so that staff could prepare findings consistent with the board's discussion. Per the board's directive, staff did draft findings which have been distributed to the board for review. Staff does feel, though, that the order drafted and presented accurately reflects the opinions and statements of the board and correctly identifies the thoughts on the matter. The matter was closed to the public at the last meeting, so no further or oral written comment will be accepted.
Thank you, Aaron. Do I hear a motion to approve the findings with a notice of denial and corrective action?
I'll make a motion to approve the findings as presented.
And I will second.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries. And do I date it?
No. Now, is the applicant Robert or Brenda here? Okay, so I just want, for the record purposes, we will note that the findings, or a copy of the findings, was given to the applicant today's date, which is March 7, 2025. You guys want to come get your copy?
Aaron?
All right, next item on the agenda, we have the Zoe Randall request. Could the applicant or anyone speaking on behalf of the request please step forward and state your first and last name?
Good morning, I'm Zoe Randall.
I'm Shane Christian.
All right, I'll give an overview here. So the request we have, it is located at 10928 Furman Avenue Southwest in Woodland Township. The property is 10.0 acres and zoned general agriculture. The reference parcel was administratively divided out via an entitlement division in 2018. This request, it is to allow for 15 animal units on a 10-acre property. So a variance is required to allow the 15 animal units on a 10-acre property because 5.0 animal units is the maximum. The township, they do approve of the increase from 5 to 15 animal units. The township also noted that if the variance were approved by the county, they would like to add some stipulations to the variance. I did reach out to the township on February 21st, 2025 to let them know that they would be unable to add conditions after the fact if the variance was to be approved. Did not hear anything back from the township. So as far as that goes, we did get a comment from an adjacent landowner, and they did say that essentially they were able to haul the manure onto their land, so they didn't see any problem with the request. So that'll wrap up my overview.
Thank you, Aaron. Does the applicant have anything wish to add?
No, sir.
Okay. Christian? Nothing? Okay.
No.
What I'll do is open up for questions or concerns to the public now? Does anyone in the public have any concerns or questions? If you could just sit down to the side here, and then if you could step forward and share your comments.
My name is Cindy Johnson,
And I'm Alan Johnson.
and we are the property owners that are around on three sides of Shane and Zoe's property. So just to give a little bit of a background, this property that Shane and Zoe own belonged to my parents, and they bought the property in 1948 and owned it for 70 years. And when my mother passed away in 2017, and then in 2018, then we sectioned off the buildings, and the buildings are 5 acres. We added 5 acres onto that to be sold then as a hobby farm. We intentionally made it 10 so that it would be a 5 animal unit hobby farm. Our intention is to be owning the rest of the property. We have acreage around the sides of it, and own that as our, continue the cropland, and have it be as passing down to our children, and kind of a legacy farm. It's also our retirement income. So I know Shane and Zoe has asked us to sell some of the property. We don't intend to do that. So unless they would want to go across the road, it would remain the 10 acres. Just as a clarification for the manure cropland, to spread manure on the cropland, our current renter is going to be finishing at the end of the 2025 growing season. So we will be getting a new renter. And our understanding is that he's a prospective one. We don't have him secured as of now, but he's been working with the current renter. That he has a manure pit that he wants to be emptying on there. So our understanding is that the manure situation will have to change from what the agreement was. We want to say that Shane and Zoe have been wonderful caretakers of the land. From what we see for the 7 years that they've lived there, they have taken really wonderful care of the property. We know that no farm is an island, and it does affect the other property that is around it. So we are just concerned as far as tripling the animal unit size. But they have done a wonderful job in caring for the land, and we know their animals. So we don't know if how a variance really works, if it lasts for the length of time that Shane and Zoe would own the land, or if it goes continually with the land. Just to know if they would sell it, and were the next people as good caretakers as what Shane and Zoe are, would be our concern. Anything else, honey?
I think that's it. We defer to the board as far as
Expertise of
the
the-
expertise of the land and the amount of animal units and so forth. I mean, we don't know the specifics scientifically, agronomy, and so forth, but we certainly understand that you have expertise that we don't have. So that's just a little
That's just our
background.
comment on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate that
very
very
much.
much.
Yeah, so I could just point out a couple things too. So as far as variances go, typically they run kind of with the property regardless of ownership, right? If you get approved for a setback, you build the house, you sell the house, right? You don't just have to now move the house back 'cause there's a different owner. But there is the possibility that the board could limit a variance to an extent along the lines of if they were to make an approval, maybe once the property is transferred, with the exception of maybe like transferring it to an immediate family member, that the variance could expire, I guess you could say, or be void. And then we do have our feedlot administrator here as well, in case there are any specific questions that come down to maybe animal units and manure application.
Thank you, Aaron. The applicant want to step forward again? Is there any further comments from the public? Oh, one second. With that, I will take this conversation up to the board.
Does the applicant have anything else to say? Add?
Well, just in our proposal that we do have a Plan B and a Plan C in place in case of a change in our current manure agreement with the landowners. We also have it in our contract with them that when the renters switch over, that we will get a new contract, if applicable, and then send that to the board as well. So like, we'll maintain the contracts as necessary.
Thank you.
I guess, Mr. Chair, could I ask the feedlot administrator to step up? I guess my question for you is with the 10 acres and what they're asking for with 15 animal units, is the field or the green area, the map that we're showing, would that be enough for the 15 animals if worse come to worse? I mean, is that enough acreage to sustain manure hauling or waste disposal on 15 animal units? Or is that getting kind of tight?
It's getting kind of tight. Ideally, it would be that half animal unit per acre. I mean, that's why it's 5. But that number doesn't ever take into consideration the buildings and such. So the green area that they have could probably sustain 5 quite easily and keep it in a forage and put manure on it. I would prefer manure application to be at least a 1-for-1, 1 acre for 1 animal unit. It does depend on the crop rotation. But yeah, the manure application agreements with the 15 animal units, I think, is a good idea.
Okay. Another question for you. Within the county, we do have 10-acre parcels in agricultural areas with manure agreements and such, or
Yes.
personally owned land, different places. I mean, with larger animal unit permitting, do we not? Or is this pretty focused on 10 acres that we don't have that in Wright County?
We have larger farms that they may not have owned or even rented acres themselves, but they do have the same transfer agreements in place to get that manure application.
Okay.
And I would look at the crop rotation and the type of soils, or water bodies nearby. Now, if Zoe and Shane stick with their surrounding neighbors, there's not really water unless they go really far south. So anybody they can get acreage from, there really isn't going to be, it will be 1 acre is an acre of manure application because you don't have any real restrictions on application setbacks or anything.
Okay.
So if they're able to get, sounds like maybe they have a Plan C, a different, Plan B is to keep the contract going. Plan C is maybe a different neighbor. That would be sufficient.
Okay. I guess that's what I have, so. Is anybody else, I guess, is anybody else, as long as she's here?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, Dan?
Is it something that, as a board, we could set a 3-year, how often do you go and investigate or check out a property like this? Could it be renewed every year, or is it 3 years or 2 years, where you may look and say, hey, these people
It
are
does
doing
vary, depending on how the transfer agreement is signed. If there's a date, 3 to 5 years, usually the 5 years, sometimes I'll see 10. And based on history of the land ownership and the way it's farmed, that 10 is relevant. It works. If there's maybe land that has transferred quite a few times, maybe a little less. This area, I am from Woodland Township and I am familiar with the area. These landowners are likely not going anywhere, but the renting side of it may be a little fluid.
I'm just wondering if there's like, if we were to agree to, say, whatever, more increase of animal units, is there a timeline that the county could look and make sure they're doing good or come up for renewal again to make sure that it stays, that they're taking care of the property and they're doing as suggested? Like a 2-year, 3-year, 5-year, or you'd go back and then if they weren't taking care of it, we could pull that back?
I would not say to come back to the board necessarily. It would
No, you
fall
guys.
back on me
Yep.
to follow up with them to make sure that they still have that land available. I have quite a few producers, larger ones generally, that submit yearly. And then I keep track of their acreage, and this would be an appropriate location for that also. So
So I
once a
guess I
year,
just didn't
make
wanna-
sure they still have that agreement.
Okay, I didn't want to, on my vote and then have it go amok and then no way to take it back and say, no, you gotta go back to your 5 animals. So I think you would bring that back to us then if they failed of taking care of their property?
I would probably just bother them a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think it would need to come back to the board, but
Okay.
that would be for the attorney to decide if it really gets that bad. I don't anticipate that.
All right.
I have a question. So part of your job is to ensure that there is a manure agreement. Do you also check the number of animal units at that time when you review it?
Yes, they do go hand in hand.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, because if they were to reduce it, go down to 5, then I wouldn't even require the agreement.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, I do. What size are these animals?
They have horses, some beef, sheep, small, it's a mix. It's a hobby farm,
So it isn't just cattle coming in, it's a whole mix of,
correct.
okay. And where do you hold all these animals? Do you have cement that sits on, or, I mean, are they in corrals, are they free range? What's?
I think the applicant can probably answer that a little better. It is in photo, the big brown spot is gonna be a dirt lot. Otherwise, they do have barns.
Because I know you graze 15 animals and whatever, it takes it's a lot of feed, a lot of manure. And I was just wondering how you're gonna hold that on a dirt pasture, dirt lot. Other than that, I guess that's about all the questions I got.
Zoe, did you want to handle that?
I think, yeah, thank you, Stacy.
Thank you. So Zoe Randall speaking
Can you just
again.
hold that? We'll go in sequence real quick, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, I'll finish. And then one other question I had is, Aaron, can you bring up what is the land use plan around for that for Wright County? I guess that's another concern. Do you know, are you zoned agricultural or are you zoned ag-res?
Yep, so I've gotten the staff report that they are zone general agriculture. Land use plan designation is also agricultural. And then if I pull this up here, which is our beacon site, I can pull up the land use layer and we can take a look and see. So as far as I can tell, I mean, this is all agricultural around this area.
Okay. I guess that's some of the information that I wanted from the staff. Looking at it, as far as being a farm, it was a farm. You're looking at continuing it as a farm. In our land use plan, it's agricultural all the way around you. You don't have a development of 2.5 acre, 5 acre homes near you. You have an agreement for manure, which in my mind is important to be able to have that management, and because I don't like to see it piling up for years upon years on some of these small acreages. That's one of my concerns. But as far as what you're proposing with chickens and ducks and geese and sheep, I mean, you're gonna have a very big, it's not like you're putting out 15 cattle and just
Correct.
gonna pasture it. I mean, you'll have a multitude of animals. And there's no direct neighbors. You have fields all the way around you, so for what they're asking for on this particular one, I can agree with it and go along with it.
Thank you, Dan. Dan?
Yeah, I feel much like Dan did, but I just always think that times change and so does you, and then I'd like to make sure it's a pretty consistent stay of these animals that you're saying you're gonna put in there. That it stays the wide variety of ducks and chickens and
Yeah, and
swine and,
that, the ducks and chickens are what we do seasonally on the years that we don't do hogs. So it's just, you gotta fill the freezer with a variety of meat. You get real sick of pork. But, so we're asking for the 15 animal units, kind of on the off chance that all of our ewes produce triplets and maybe a cow drops a couple twins. And so we just didn't wanna like end up with a very abundant year and then be a non-compliant. So that's really where, we don't plan on maxing out the 15 animal units all the time, because I do want to take a vacation at some point in the year, but that's how we got the 15 animal unit number.
yeah, cause I would, like Dan, I don't wanna see it change in 2 years to have all swine there or something, or all cattle, so. I don't know where we stand, where we could change that if they did start doing that. Is there any recourse for the county? Because we're passing it based on this animal.
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely have Tracy come back up and speak on that, but typically, I mean, we're looking at animal units, that's what they're asking for. So from my perspective, if those are all cattle that make that up, or if that's a multitude of different animals, right, it's still hitting that animal unit, allowed number,
Sure,
so.
okay, that's all I got, Paul.
Thank you, Dan. Russ?
I have no comment.
Bob?
When these 10-acre properties are created, no matter where they are, the reason we put these restrictions on is because of encroaching, kind of like Mr. Mall said, if you had neighbors with lots of houses around you and that sort of thing. And so that's why we really, I think on if that 80 would have come before us today and they were gonna draw out that 10 acres, I'm certain that we would go with a half animal unit per acre, like you have. That's very common and consistent. And I think we should consider, regardless of that there's agriculture all around you, does that make this special? And when we look at hardship, what hardship are we alleviating, or what hardship do they have at 5 animal units? Are some concerns. This, with the agricultural land around you, with the overview that we're looking at now, it doesn't look like urban sprawl is coming to their backyard anytime soon. So maybe that does make them unique. But I think we need to consider that it seems like every 10-acre parcel that we approve, we stick to that half animal units. We don't vary from that. The manure agreement is fine with the neighbors. I don't have a problem with that. It's just what makes this one special is, I guess, what you guys have to answer.
Mr. Chairman? Yes. Can I answer that, please? I sat at home reading this several times. I sat at work and read this several times, and I had very much the same thought as what you had. Where I came up with a different conclusion finally is the hardship. There's no hardship here that I could come up with, other than you start looking at Wright County. One of our ordinance, or one of our themes is try to preserve agriculture. And this is in the southern portion of our county that is still agriculture. And then I went in, I asked a question here about zoning. I already knew, I looked it up, but I wanted it on record. This is agricultural land all the way around it. It hasn't been rezoned. We're not putting it in. The Woodland Township down there isn't got it in the land use plan for growth. They're trying to maintain agriculture. And when we put these 10 acres and put the 5 animal units on it, I'm very agreeative with that because we don't know what the people are gonna do, what the community around it is gonna be. So for me, the hardship for them was the county putting the 5 animal units on it when they're in the middle of agricultural land. Was my reasoning, and this is where I was coming from. So we have solid agriculture all the way around it. Most farmers will accept manure. Most farmers do want the organics and the manure. So in my mind, even if they have to give it away, it'll be disposed of properly. So to me, the hardship on this piece of property was the county putting 5 animal units on it. If this was completely surrounded by housings and stuff, I'd have a completely different answer. Because now they're asking to change the neighborhood, more animals where there's people living. A completely different, in my mind, perspective. But that's, I guess, where I'm coming from. The hardship is from the county putting 5 animal units on what used to be an existing farm that was split off. And I guess that's why I asked Tracy if we have other farms in Wright County with larger animal units on 10 acres. They have manure management. I mean, it's 10 acres and they're milking 40, 50 cows, you know? I mean, it happens. I know it happens in my area. I sold off a 10-acre farm and he milked 40, 50 cows for a long time. Had manure management, hauled manure around, it's agriculture all the way around them. It was a farm and we're maintaining agricultural in Wright County. And I guess that's somewhat of my goal, is to try to maintain ag in Wright County. So
Dan?
that would be my response.
Okay, thank you. Originally, I'd kind of shared the same concern and hardship, but not every ordinance can fit or anticipate every land use. This is one of the reasons this board is here, was created to look at each case kind of individually, based on its own merits and what the intended planning and zoning rules were for. And in this case here, I think you said it well. You had said adhere to the spirit of the ordinance. And in this case would be being good land stewards, managing the property. And you did a really nice job with your brief, and it really spoke loud to me that what you say you're going to do, you're going to do. And following some of the thoughts of what Dan had spoke, I feel comfortable with extending the number of animal units because I think it can be managed. I was originally concerned with 15, thinking, oh my, all you need is one spring, and you do the math, and your ewes have already over, but you've already anticipated that.
Yes, sir.
And so to me, again, it just reinforces this idea that you are going to manage just very good, and it gets back to we as a board tried to use common sense in some of these cases, and I think this case I feel very comfortable with going along with the ordinance. So those are my thoughts. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the request to allow 15 animal units on a 10-acre property, which is not to exceed 15 animal units. Manure application agreements submitted by March 1 of each year to the Wright County Feedlot Officer. And the approval expires once property is transferred, with the exception of transfers to immediate family. And I guess the overall review every 5 years from the feedlot administrator.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
I'm sorry, opposed?
Opposed.
Thank you. So noted.
Yeah, yep.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, board.
All right, next item on the agenda, we have the Gordon Cotala request. Could the applicant or anyone speaking on behalf please step forward, state your first and last name?
I'm Gordy Kodila.
All right, so overview here. We have got, well, 3 parcels, so I'll kind of give an overview and then try and point some stuff out on the board just for clarification purposes. Essentially, the request, it is located off of County Road 3 Southwest in Cokato Township. The properties consist of PID 205-000-041-100, which is 62.7 acres. There's PID 205-000-044-100, which is 95.8 acres. And PID 205-000-041-400, which is 5 acres, all of which being zoned general agriculture. So the request, essentially, is to add, you guys can see up on the screen, it's about 0.9 acres that's north of this ditch. They want to take it from this parcel and give it back to the, or give it to the parcel to the north. And then they would add land south down here to this. So this parcel here would stay at exactly 5.0 acres. Let's see if we zoom in here, might be able to see that. So, yep, you can kind of see it here too, right? There's that ditch line now. That could have been done administratively, but what they want to do is kind of, I guess, look long-term at the entire property. And so that's kind of why we're running this all as a Board of Adjustment lot line adjustment request. That's because they want to use this ditch as kind of the property boundary between those 2 tillable fields, I guess you could say. It's easier back in this photo to see that you're following quarter lines, and quarter lines don't always follow natural features. So essentially, they are looking at using that ditch as the dividing line between a northern property, a southern property, and then that 5.0 acre lot of record would stay the same acreage, just be shifted south of the ditch. So that's pretty much my overview. The township, they did approve as presented, and I didn't get any written responses from the public.
Thank you, Aaron. Does the applicant have anything wish to add?
Nothing, but this has been really good listening to the last people. You guys got a very important job. I'm a lifetime farmer, both the south farm here, that and the farm even south of that has been in my family now for over 100 years. And my son, who lives on that 5 acres, that was the house that I built in 1974. And so consequently, because I don't have no heirs after my son passes away, my son will get to use my farms until he dies. And after that, these parcels, these three parcels, as well as the other parcel, will all be sold to somebody else. And by having, as I looked at this, the way this property line is now, there could be some problems with the neighbors by having the property line going across that ditch. And that's why, because I can control it now, I'm gonna change the property lines it is. Aaron has been a great help for me to help me get this all figured out, and all 3 properties are gonna benefit from this. And so I appreciate Aaron for his help, and he's great. He's been a lot of help in helping me, so. I see everybody winning. I don't see any losers in this deal. All I can say is thank you, Aaron.
Thank you. Is there anything else, Mr. Chad?
I don't have any other questions.
All right.
If you got any questions of me?
We will, probably. What I'll do right now is I'll open it up to the public for just comments, questions, and then we'll get back. So is there anyone in the public that has any questions, concerns? If you could just set aside and let this gentleman step forward.
Good morning, Board. Dan Bravender, Supervisor, Cokato Township. When Gordy came to us with this, it was a no-brainer for us. If you could see that ditch and see how deep it is, it's one of the deepest ditches in Wright County. And if you look to the northwest, if that land were sold off to the north and you split that little piece off on the other side of the ditch, and that was included to the north parcel, just imagine trying to farm that in the future. It just wouldn't work. And this way, it's gonna be a clean line all the way across and allow the 5 acres to be maintained on that house property with all of that property south of the ditch. and the north field having all their property north of the ditch and the south field south of the ditch. So it was a no-brainer to us, and hopefully your board will see it the same way. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, concerns from the public? Seeing none, we'll take this conversation up to the board. If you want to step up to the public. Dan?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Gordon, I agree with you a lot. Aaron's great help. And I see no problem. I know it's quarter to quarter, but I like natural boundaries. I think that makes a lot of sense in my opinion. So I don't have a lot to add other than I'm okay with it.
Thank you, Dan. Russ?
I'm with you for that, to clean the border lines, or the section, use the ditch the way you were going for a line in it. I guess I don't have no further questions either.
Thank you, Russ. Bob?
I see the intent, and, you know, obviously, we could put a culvert in that ditch to gain access if we left it like it is. However, if that north piece would be sold, it does make an awful, as the township supervisor said, it'd be a strange corner to try to at least farm it. It would probably, the use would probably change to woods or grass or something other than farm. Normally, I like to stay with the quarter lines. However, this time it does seem to make sense, just from a practicality of how it's farmed. Every time you pop a culvert in a ditch, you're gonna have to, it always seems the culverts fail, they need cleaning out.
Excuse me, Bob. As you can see on that map, there is a culvert there. That culvert was put there by the snowmobile club, and I so much appreciate that snowmobile club. They put that snowmobile trail down the west line of my property for almost a mile. And it's so much nicer having the snowmobile trail there than by my highway going by my house. So there is the culvert there, but the snowmobile club was the one that put that culvert in there, and I use that a lot, as well as the neighbor uses it on the other side. So, I mean, there is a culvert there. But again, it's just a big farmer who comes in there with this 40, even my digger, I can't make those corners. And for a farmer, that's foolishness to have a triangle piece farm, a triangle piece field.
Sure.
And that's why I put it with that farm. And then again, on my son's property there, that other triangle, that compensates for that piece. So, and then the home farm, it gets, well, it loses. And yet that's where I'm on now, as the home farm anyway, but.
So is there any animals on your son's property now?
No.
I have no further questions.
Okay. Thank you, Bob. Dan?
Yeah, I've driven by the property going to work the last 20-plus years. I know the ditch. I've watched you clean the ditch out. I've watched you farm. Got to watch something as I'm driving by. It makes sense because the statement that this is a deep ditch, it is a very deep ditch going through there. And I too like quarter section lines, keep everything square. I don't like making angles and creating angles. But on this particular piece of property, to split it at the ditch, I can see the challenge and the hardship of the farming end of it, so I can go along with it.
Thank you, Dan. Likewise, my thoughts have been shared by the others. With that said, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the request to add 0.9 acres north of the ditch from PID 205-000-041400 to PID 205-000-041100, and then take 0.9 acres from PID 205-000-044100 and add it to PID 205-000, 041400. So PID 205-000-041400 remains 5 acres. The northern side of the ditch would be the property between PID 205-000-041100, which would be 97.1 acres, and 205-000-044100, which would be 61.4 acres. Consideration subject to survey, subject to administrative order, and concept plan noted at Exhibit A.
Lots of zeros.
Yeah, there it is.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep, thank you.
Aaron, are we done?
Yeah, give us a full-size, another full-size copy of that survey, and then we'll be able to.
Yeah, I'm gonna step up all them zeros.
So you keep one full-size copy of the survey with the file. You need,
Once I start, I figured Dirk can't read
and
it.
Cheryl to draft that document, so you can just get it to us next week if you want. Thank you. Yep.
You get all that? Yeah.
All right, next item on the agenda, we have the Alan Kirsch request. Could applicant or anyone speaking on behalf of this please step forward, state your first and last name?
I'm Alan Kirst.
All right, I'm gonna give an overview of this property here. So the request we have, it's primarily gonna be located off of County Road 8 Northwest, right here in Silver Creek Township. Properties involved, same thing, we got a few PIDs here. So PID 216-000, 053-302, and 053-303 are to be owned in common down here as part of a Board of Adjustment prior hearing at totaling 6.25 acres. Parcel to the north, 216-000-053-301 is also 6.25 acres. And then this property over here ending in 05, oh, sorry, my mouse was on my other screen, 053-400 over here, that is going to be at 43.99 acres, all of which being zoned general agriculture. In 2000, there was a lot line adjustment through the Board of Adjustment that reconfigured this down here, as you can see. That's why these are two separate parcels. Essentially, this was all owned as one. They sold off a couple acres here, or a few acres, in order to get both properties at 6.25 acres, both of which being a buildable lot of record. This request specifically, they're looking at adding about 2 acres east of the pond on the property ending in 053-303 to the property ending in 053-301. And they'd also be looking at adding about 1.75 acres from the larger 053-400 property to the 053-301 property. So that specific one would be totaling 10.0 acres. The Board of Adjustment, since they were the one previously adjusting boundaries, you know, you're kind of back here again in front of them for review. The township, they approved the request with no concerns. I didn't see any written comments from the public, so that'll pretty much wrap up my overview.
Thank you, Aaron. Does the applicant have anything you wish to add?
Yeah, I'm trying to get, I was talking with the neighbor, actually the previous owner also, because with that pond or that water there, they don't have access unless they use a boat to get across there. So they've always told me it's kind of been useless to them. And I guess I would like to purchase that. And then I would also, in the process of doing that, I want to purchase that and then get my property up to 10 acres. I want to get rid of that strip that's along the north edge. I don't know, it's like a 33-foot wide strip. Because as surveying went on from the old to the new, you can almost see the driveway, and there actually goes up on that a little bit. So I'd like to get rid of that to keep the driveway all on the property. And then the extra storage shed that I built, I would like to get that, encapsulate all on that 10-acre property. And I guess with the 10 acres, then it meets the square footage and the setbacks. Should be able to get everything to work there. So I can at least get all the buildings on one property.
Okay. Anything else that want to add?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'll open it up to the public with any questions or concerns. Is there anyone from the public wish to have a question? Seeing none, I'll take this conversation up to the board here, and Russ, could you get us started, please?
These lot lines here, what you're trying to do, reminds me of the last case, or app. And the way it's looking to me, you're just trying to clean it up, straighten everything out. And I have no further questions, because I'll pass.
Okay, thank you, Russ. Bob?
Yeah, when I got my packet, it took me quite a while to understand what you were changing and why. And but I did make a phone call to Aaron, and he helped me explain to me your side of the story a bit in advance. And yeah, the only thing is, it does put him over 10 acres, so do we want to restrict that to a half animal unit or a 5 animal units total? This is a different situation than the first case, because Silver Creek is only, half mile away or thereabouts, and that community will grow in the future. The other thing that in my mind is we have this jog that goes around the building. And, should that north line go straight to the other property's line to just kind of make it more of a T-shaped with a bigger portion there? Yeah, kind of what Aaron is drawing with his deal. Those are kind of my concerns. Yes, by doing this, he meets the setbacks. Perhaps the property south of the house is unusable to the neighbor. That's fine. I think it's just, those are kind of my concerns, is should we restrict the animal units on here because it's close to Silver Creek? And do we want to do something with that corner?
Thank you, Bob. Dan?
Yeah, Bob hit on most of my highlights. I would definitely like to see that northern lot line go straight across and not dip in like that. We're already going over the 10 acres for the animal units.
Well, we were gonna try to keep it right at 10,
It was
weren't we?
supposed to be 10.0.
It was supposed to be 10.0.
With Beacon, it's Beacon. So
Yeah.
to get 10.12 on the first try is pretty good. Basically, a surveyor would get them right to 10.0. I'll give a quick little rundown. So at 6.25 acres, right, this building here is on different property. Well, if you're 5 to 9.99, you get 4,000 square feet of detached building area. So with this building here, and the little addition here, it kind of actually threw them just over 4,000. They want to incorporate this building here, which clearly is accessed through his other property here. He's got to have at least 10.0 acres. And then the reason too for grabbing the land to the south was, once you go from sub 10 acres at a 10-foot side yard setback to 10.0 acres or more, you got a 30-foot side yard setback now. So then this area here would become non-conforming. So they needed to come down here anyways if they wanted to avoid setback variances for this building. And then obviously he pointed out too that it's hard for the property owner to access across that pond there to the east. So the intent was 10.0. Obviously the Board of Adjustment has the authority to kind of alter things.
Yeah, and we looked at trying to go straight across. I think Aaron brought that up too. It'd be nice to go straight across. That puts me over 10 acres, which I guess I don't know all the rules. And
It's just an
different-
additional variance. There's a handful of things. You could have proposed quite a few different routes here as part of it.
Okay.
So
So the intent was to try to keep it at 10. That's why it ended up like that.
I guess the way I look at it is, when you make jogs in that, and I'm going to guess the intent is to sell the other portion off. If you own both pieces, why would you be doing any of this anyway? Because there's got to be plans to sell something or divide something.
At this point, I have no intention to sell anything off. There's way down on the end towards East End, I think it's towards Silver Creek, there's a strip over there. Possibly in 10 years, my brother may want to buy and build on that part, but otherwise I have no intention of getting rid of this property. I have it all into CRP right now. So I have no intention to do anything other than that right now.
Because I guess I like straight lines coming in. I look at it when the property does get sold, then there becomes into that question, if they want to clear the land or cut the trees down. You know, they're coming around your shed and they're clearing everything out right up next to your house. I personally, I would like to see that line go straight across. I mean, if we have to be right at 10 acres and that creates to be another problem, I mean, would that create another variance if we go over 10 acres?
Well, I mean, it would just be basically in this case, doing a lot line adjustment to increase it over 10 acres. If you start trying to keep it at 10.0 exactly and you're reducing stuff down from that 2 acres from the neighbor, then it's just going to throw in more jogs.
Yeah.
So if this was kind of the approval, meeting all setbacks, your best bet likely is to exceed 10 acres and run that north property line up here over and capture whatever that happens to be, half acre, something like that.
Yeah. I guess for me, I would like to see that, so it's squared off, it's even. I'm okay with it being a little, at half an acre, 3/4 of an acre over 10. I'd be willing to give the variance for that, and then also leaving it at 5 animal units, because Bob made the very strong point that Silver Creek is just right there, within a half a mile, the way the crow flies. There's development around him, there's houses all in that area. This isn't where it's all farm fields all the way around it. This is a much different situation than the first one on the agenda that I was for. So I guess I would like to see that line come on the north, come right straight across. And if it's 11 acres, I'm okay with that lot line adjustment with a 5 animal max.
Thank you, Dan. Dan?
I too, I think that there was no access to that 2 acres from that property down to the south. So I agree with that, where your lot line is, and I like the idea of running that straight over. You could drop that green line down, that divider there, down, I don't know if that would get us still under 10.
Are you talking about this here?
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
that-
I mean,
Down to that white line.
I think his intent was,
Try to get.
he's got part of the driveway already over there anyways, it's already wooded,
Sure.
kind of include that anyways, but I mean, I'm not the one who decides, so.
It'd still be over 10 anyways too, I think, so that don't matter to me then. And that's what my other question was, how are you accessing that? Is that a driveway usable now?
What's that?
What looks like your road?
That's my driveway, the one that
Okay.
kind of curves up around. That's my access now.
Okay,
Through the
just
woods.
looks like it's overgrown, so I didn't know.
That's a lot, it's thick with trees.
Sure, okay, so you got plenty of room for your 300-foot of road frontage too, there with this proposal?
Both of them are lacking technically.
Are
They're
they?
not, they're actually making this one more conforming down here.
Sure.
This one here, it's already over 5 acres, needing 300, so it's, you're not really changing anything. There's no way to get 300 there.
Unless you move that line up, huh?
Neighbor's property up here, it wouldn't be possible
Okay,
really here, and then with
okay, I
these
didn't know
guys
if you owned it
setbacks.
all.
This guy here technically should have had 300 as well, but these were once again already approved by the Board of Adjustment in 2000. That's kind of the way they're sitting. That's why they're back in front of you right now.
Are we removing one PID number then too?
Well, as far as PID numbers go, our office doesn't create them. I mean,
Okay.
if they add this as a separate one for temporary purposes for recording, we would recommend they combine them into one tax ID number, but we're not the authority on that.
Okay, I didn't know, I was just seeing,
Sure.
there's 2 down here in that
Oh, and that
bottom
one there, if they wanted to combine them, I would have no issues, but that was done in 2000, hasn't changed. I've got nothing saying they have to, I guess.
Okay, all right, that's all I had.
Thank you, Dan. And I think my thoughts and concerns have been said as well. And just so you know, Bob, I did have to read it 2-3 times too to try to figure it out. Thanks for saying that. With that said, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to add 2 acres from PID 216-000-053303 and 1.75 acres from PID 216-000-053400 to PID 216-000-053301. So it would total, it may be in excess of 10 acres because I would like to see the northern line go to the west property line so that's included.
Okay.
So that comes straight across. So it may be in excess of 10 acres, which in my motion, I'm okay with. I want to limit it to a maximum of 5 animal units on the property. And it would be subject to survey, subject to administrative order, unpermitted addition to detached building on PID 216-00-053301 must obtain all required permits within 60 days, and concept plan, as noted, Exhibit A, and with my change of the northern lot line.
Thank you, Dan. Do we hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second it? Any discussion?
Okay, for discussion purposes, let me just put up this plan on the document camera quick.
Mr. Chair, while he's doing that, perhaps we should just continue this so that we have a for sure line so that we can look at with that adjustment that Mr. Mall has suggested. So maybe a continuance would be something to consider. That's just something to consider.
Okay.
Would this be Exhibit B then?
Well, here, let me just speak real quick. I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page here. Is this kind of what you're referring to, including this whole area here?
Very much so.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's up to you guys if you want to continue it until the next meeting, and we could draw something up a little more formal with a better idea of how much acreage it's gonna be. I roughly calculated it. It's probably gonna be closer to like 11 acres. It's up to you guys how you want to motion it. I would maybe adjust the motion though, just kind of as Exhibit A with the intent of around 11 acres rather than 1.75, you know, a little over 10, whatever. That might get a little confusing. So if you were going to do today, I'd say 2 acres from here, and then total acreage would be somewhere along maybe 11 acres or so. But I have no issues waiting till next meeting. That might be the applicant too, if you have time.
So we
I
have
guess
a
I'd like to
motion.
keep it moving as fast as possible, but if that's what I have
I
to do.
think in my motion, I did say like, up,
He's talking about like a 1.75, specifics in the very beginning here.
Yeah, sorry. You mentioned 1.75, which is what the initial plan was. But obviously, we're probably closer to 2.75 now because we're grabbing an extra acre. I just thought maybe clear that up for confusion purposes maybe later on. I'm not sure if it would or not, but we could.
I would amend that motion to be on that 1.75 to 2.75, or the overall acreage to be
Okay.
approximately 11 acres. I don't want it to be 11.1 and then they have to mess with something. I mean, once we go over 10, we're over 10. So,
All right. So if you don't mind, then I can just kind of reiterate, and then you guys can discuss from there. So it would be adding 2 acres from PID 216-000-053-303 and approximately 2.75 acres from PID 216-000-053-400 to PID 216-000-053-301, subject to survey, subject to administrative order. The unpermitted addition to the detached building on PID 216-000-053-301 must obtain all required permits within 60 days. Half animal unit per acre, and then we'll call what the plan I showed on the screen would be Exhibit A, showing that line to the north.
with a half animal unit per acre, max
Yep.
5,
Okay.
just in case it's at
Gotcha.
11.
Then I'll second that.
Second that?
Yep.
And that half animal unit, that's just for this 10 acres here. That has nothing to do with the 40. Okay, I'm fine with that. Yep.
So we have an amended motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Anything to add to that? Okay. With that said, all in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, next item on the agenda, we have the Sky's Limit LLC request. Could the applicant, whoever's speaking on behalf, please state your first and last name?
Paul Otto with Otto Associates on behalf of Sky's Limit.
All right, this is gonna be another one where quite a handful of PIDs, land changing hands. So if you have any questions on where it's going, I'll try to clarify that. Otherwise, obviously, Mr. Otto here could as well. So this request, it is located off of Baker Avenue Northwest in Silver Creek Township. The properties involved are PID 216-000-114-100, which is this larger parcel here, 78.22 acres. And then we're going to jump down to parcel 216-112-000-110, which is a half acre, 00020, which is 0.24 acres, and 00030, which is 0.34 acres. So this request, it is to create essentially backlots for those, or we have to call them backlots, for those lakeshore properties as shown in their plan right here. That would remain owned in common with their lakeshore properties. Essentially, the reason they're looking to add the land from that larger farm parcel to those 3 lakeshore properties is essentially their goal that they noted to us was eventually to rezone and subdivide that larger piece of land. So by doing so, you can see on the plan, they're creating a road. What happens with the land that's kind of on the east side of that? Well, their intent is to attach that to those lakeshore properties. If at any point that this part of the road here, let's see if I can pull up the right-of-way here. This right-of-way were to get vacated or whatnot by the township, they would still have public road frontage then off of the proposed Baker Avenue. So as far as that goes, the Board of Adjustment, right, they don't have the ability to do a rezone, do a subdivision, but they can look at lot line adjustments to create backlots or just in general for whatever future planning that the property owners have. So as far as we are there, the township, they did approve of it with no concerns, and I did not receive any written comment from the public. So that'll wrap up my overview.
Thank you, Aaron. Does the applicant have, anything you wish to add?
I think Aaron covered it pretty well. If you want to talk about kind of what we're doing and what we're trying to, why we're doing all this, we can get into that, but I think you guys see enough of this that you probably know. The one thing that I did want to make sure was clear in the motion is that the parcel D that's shown on your screen here, that will be attached back to the 78-acre parent parcel, and you might have that in your staff report, but the staff report that I found online appears that it's maybe missing that portion of it.
Was it this portion? Oh, let's see here.
The bottom portion of the half-acre parcel owned. Zoom in.
Was it
on-
that deed restriction you guys were doing to the north?
No, if you zoom in on the previous, so,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, so below there's a garage and another house, but then this parcel continues down on the lake shore. My clients are asking to have that attached back to the 78-acre parcel. So we're basically doing a land swap. They're getting 5,700 square feet and then giving the other 3 parcels to the neighboring property owner. So I just want to make sure that
Okay.
that was in your motion. I'm not sure that I saw that in there.
I didn't see that. I guess I wasn't explaining that. So this part here,
That part there will be swapped back to the 78-acre
gotcha.
parcel. Yes. So I just want to make sure that that was clear. We are doing a little exchange of land there.
Okay. If you have nothing else to add, I'll open it up to the public for any questions. You can just step aside, and if you could state your name and share your thoughts.
My name is Tom Moores. I'm a resident on Lake Ida, so I do have some concerns. My understanding is the developer that owns this 78 acres has intentions of developing that someday. Not really sure what he wants to do, but by him, by creating these lot lines, it's going to give him, 350, 400 feet of more lakeshore. So that'll help him developing whatever he wants to do with that lakeshore. I've heard rumors of what he wants to do. put some outlots in and back lots and have them have lake access, which I am totally against. It's a small lake. We don't want to add a lot more residential development to the lake. And I was unable to make it to the township meeting Tuesday night. I was out of town, so that's why I'm here today. And hopefully that developer can explain a little bit what his intentions are. Another concern I have is, I heard that the township would vacate a 30-foot easement right down there, which I thought for years was just a private driveway, but I found out that the township actually owns it. And from some of the people that were at the township meeting that I talked to, their concerns were if this did not develop at all, and these lot lines were changed, that I talked to the maintenance guy at the township. His concern was right now it's just a dead end. They have trouble turning their trucks around when they plow the road. So if some reason the developer doesn't develop this, is there a cul-de-sac going to be put in? And who would pay for that cul-de-sac? I don't believe us taxpayers should pay for a cul-de-sac that's put in it's going to advantage the property owners around there.
Sure.
So I do have some concerns, and obviously with a big development like this coming in, because there are other property owners on this lake that have large parcels, and if something is accepted here, what would the other people do with their parcels? And it would add a lot of traffic to that lake.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Just to note, this is one step in a process, so you'll
Right.
have opportunities to learn more about it and then also voice your concerns further down, especially with planning and zoning. So just wanted to share that thought with you.
All
too.
right.
So,
If this is approved today, do you
This-
make any recommendations
no.
for a cul-de-sac
So,
or
well,
anything?
We're focusing in on this lot line, this little back lot parcel here. There's still a lot more steps they need to go through.
Sure, yeah, I
before they
understand
even
this.
get to where they want to be. So
Okay.
what I was saying is that there's plenty of opportunity to learn more about what's happening and voice more opinions. So by no means is this the final step or approval for what they want to do. So,
All right. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments from the public? All right, seeing none, I'll take this conversation up here. And Bob, could you get us started?
Is this gentleman's concern valid? Is that Baker Avenue going to go, if it would go through, would that connect to another road further to the south?
No, there's a large wetland complex to the south. So it wouldn't be able to be connected.
Okay,
So
so the road on the south side and the road coming that Baker Avenue would never connect?
not without filling wetlands. Yeah. So I can give you a little history. I don't want to, we're not here to talk about rezoning and what the plat's going to be, but for this board, for your purposes, I think it would be helpful. We have been in talks with the township, and these have been public meetings. We've discussed this road. Our intent is to, and by our intent, I'm representing my clients. I'm not a part of the development. I'm working on behalf of them. But their intent is to subdivide the property. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but for purposes of figuring out what we want to do with these back lots, we have aligned Baker Avenue. We do intend to move the alignment, build a township road, and put a proper cul-de-sac at the end of the road for the township. And then hopefully if that all would go through, we would vacate this and that property owner would get back these vacated pieces and those would all become one larger parcel to make these parcels better. We can't do that all in one process with the plat because two different boards, you guys know that. So we are here first to see your thoughts on the back lots to figure out how we're gonna move forward with the rest. But our intent is to improve Baker Avenue from this intersection down, create a proper cul-de-sac for the township, make this a better piece of property for the neighbor. Are we benefiting from Lakeshore? Yes, we are, but the trade-off is we're helping out the neighborhood. We're gonna make a better cul-de-sac and we're also making these substandard properties larger. So that's about what I can tell you about what our future plans are. There will be more coming pending today's outcome.
Thank you.
You know, I've always been in favor of backlots because it gives people a place, usually a secondary septic spot. It usually gives them some place to store their stuff, their fish house, camper, whatever. So this proposal makes sense to me. And if we can improve you know, if the future improves the Baker Avenue for the township, that's just an added bonus. So I think that the concept plan is acceptable to me.
Thank you, Bob. Dan?
Yeah, along some of those lines, I mean, what the larger property is going to be developed to is not in front of us today. What's in front of us, or what I'm looking is in front of us today, is backlots being developed on a lake, and the lots that it will benefit are very tight lots, very small lots, and if sewers do fail, or whatever they have going on now, it's going to improve those properties. As far as the road and easement, that's kind of on the township. That's township authority. That's not in front of this board. So to create backlots on these very small existing lots, to be able to put sewers in, or, you know, if they have enough room to put a storage shed so they can store their boat or whatever. Yeah, I'm okay with what's in front of me today.
Thank you, Dan. Dan?
Yeah, thank you. It looks like 3 existing homes there. Are they on a septic system, or are they holding tanks, or?
From what I learned the other night at the township meeting, the 2 northern ones, septics are within probably 5 years, new ones. The south parcel, the one that we're actually adding the most property to, is on a holding tank, so.
Okay, so that'd be a good benefit. And then on lot 4, it's looking really close, but you would make sure they're matching all setbacks on the existing shed or whatever that is on 4?
Yes, yeah, that south property line, we are proposing, that's been kind of worked out with the neighbor. I think we were actually over the setback. I thought we were 20, we're 15 or 20 off that shed.
That's a little higher up there, Aaron, the double one wide. Looks like 2 buildings there.
Are you talking this?
Those, yeah.
Oh, so those are septic
setbacks all gonna-
locations, and that number 4 this is just part of their concept plan for if they were to
so it
rezone
doesn't
develop. Those
exist.
aren't even lots that are here right now, not
Okay.
created.
No.
I think they're just trying to plan, I guess you could say properly, where if they were to do these back lots, get the approval, they can still get the lots that they're hoping for out of it.
Very good. Thank you. That was my other question.
Thank you, Dan. Russ?
I have to think you did a, pretty good improvement there with the road, by creating a bigger lot for the ones that are too, for the lake. Yeah, I think you guys did plan it's a good program, or the way you put the road in, I like that.
Yeah, I think it'll make things, even if we don't do anything, I think it's, it improves those lots. Even if that road wouldn't get vacated, which hopefully it would, then we wouldn't even have back lots, so,
Thank you.
yep.
Likewise, my thoughts are the same. It benefits a lot of owners. It addresses a future problem with septic and what have you, so I have no issues with it. With that said, do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the request to create a 0.06 backlot out of PID 216-000-114-100 that would remain owned in common with PID 216-112-000030 and create a 0.18 acre backlot out of PID 216-000-114-100 that would remain owned in common with PID 216-112-000020 and add a 0.46 acres from PID 216-000 114100 to PID 216-112-000010. Subject to survey, subject to administrative order, and noticed as concept plan Exhibit A.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Second that. Any?
Just for discussion purposes, if you guys wanted to include that part that I might have missed or whatever, 0.13 acres from PID 216-112-0000 would be added to PID 216-000-114-100.
So moved.
So moved.
Amended? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, last on the agenda, we have the Jennifer Doherty request. Could the applicant or anyone speaking on behalf please step forward, state your first and last name?
Good morning, Jennifer Doherty. Good morning, Christina Moss.
All right, so this is going to be a little bit longer of an overview, just trying to cover some stuff. The board knows there's been a few hearings over the last few years. So basically, we're looking at, it's up the creek. Is it Grill and Bar? Or is it Bar
Yes.
Grill? Okay, Grill and Bar in Silver Creek Township. The property, it totals between, I believe it's 4 parcels, 1.31 acres. It's zoned commercial shorelands and also urban rural transition. The board did approve the expansion of an existing non-conforming use in 2023 with conditions that allowed for live outdoor non-amplified music. In 2024, the board approved some amendments to the previous approval from 2023. One of the amendments was to allow live outdoor amplified music, but conditioned that the request be heard again on their last day, or heard again sometime after their last day in 2024 if they wish to pursue live outdoor amplified music again in the future. So this specific request, it is to seek what's called a reapproval of live outdoor amplified music. So if approved, they would want to have or avoid having review by the Board of Adjustment every year, unless they were to like violate a condition.
Correct.
They would prefer that the township does that yearly review. The applicants also proposed to keep all existing conditions and amendments in place that have already been approved, but once again allow for that live outdoor amplified music with township review rather than Board of Adjustment review. So some of the conditions that have already been approved that could still be applicable would be as follows. It was live outdoor amplified music Thursdays from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time from May 1st through September 30th in a calendar year. Live outdoor amplified music allowed Sundays from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time from May 1st through September 30th in a calendar year. Live outdoor amplified music must only be conducted on the stage designated on the survey noted Exhibit A as part of a prior Board of Adjustment approval, which I can pull up on the screen here. Stage being this area here. The fencing must follow an approved fence plan, which was also known as Exhibit A at a different meeting, as part of a Board of Adjustment approval, which is that plan. There was some changes, I believe. You guys got the approval for reduced fence heights in certain areas.
Correct.
So essentially, this would be designed, installed, and maintained so that there was 2 inches or less between the bottom of the fence to adjacent grade, no gaps in the fence. The fence couldn't be located within 2 feet of a property line. The finished side of the fence must face towards neighboring residential properties. There was also a condition that no campfires were allowed. The township, they did approve of the request, and they said they would be willing to do a yearly township review. We did get a written comment from the public that said they would like to leave it the way it is and noted no drums, no bass, and an annual review. Another commented that the improvement of the fence is a nice addition, while pointing out it took more than a few months to get the volume of the music to a reasonable level. but they now believe it only seems to happen sporadically depending on the band. They believe the board should continue a yearly approval of amplified music to make sure that Up the Creek does not abuse the privilege. They didn't specify which board in their response. You guys would have got a copy of it, but that'll wrap up my overview. So that's pretty much what we're working with.
Thank you, Aaron. Does the applicant have anything you wish to add?
We're just looking for the same thing that was approved last year, and we're not looking for anything more, anything less. I will say that the fence did put in a nice, it looks really nice, so.
Okay, thank you. If there's nothing else you want to add, I'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone in the public that has any questions, concerns? Please step forward. If you wouldn't mind just stepping aside for a second. You can state your name and.
My name is Tom Morris, and I really don't have any concerns. I just want to let the board know that these people that own this bar have done a tremendous job of updating whatever you people have requested. I've been at past meetings, and they have a very good establishment there. And I've been there listening to the music. I've walked 1-2 blocks away to listen to the music, and I think they have it very well under control. So, and I've been a resident, and I've been going to that bar long before these people even owned it. So they do a tremendous job. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate that. Anybody else would wish to comment? Okay, step back up, thank you. If nothing else, I think we'll take the conversation up to the board here. And Dan?
Oh, I guess I get to start out. Yep, I've been by there, and the fence does add, and appreciate that. And I guess with this room being as empty as it was compared to our last meetings and our last
Correct.
hearings, I think this year you obviously have done a good job. So as of now, I mean, I've heard nothing in the community. I live out in that end of the county. I've heard nothing from the community. I've really not heard, I guess, I don't have any grounds to stand on to go against it. So they've done a good job. I mean, like I said, the fence is in place. The place is clean. Went by there again this morning, and yeah. So I guess I can go along with renewing what they have.
Thank you, Dan. Dan?
Thank you. Yeah, I see that there's been no problems either, but I wanted to ask you, does it cost you to come back here?
It does, $500.
So you're getting a little hardship there from continuing. I think as long as you have no more problems, big problems, I'm okay with stopping the review here too. So that was my point.
Thank you, Dan. Russ?
I have to agree with Vic. Even every 2 years or 3 years, I think, unless there's a problem, but that's where I'm at, so, thank you.
Thank you. Bob?
Yeah, the township is, if you're willing to have an annual review with the township, I think that's adequate for my part. I do hear your ads on the radio that you are already anticipating a passage today because they are advertising live music for the summer already on the radio, so.
It should have just been the fish fry.
I've heard both, actually.
Oh, okay.
So,
I will have to talk to the guy who's in charge of that, because I don't have any notes on that, so that's
Okay.
interesting, so.
all right. That's just an observation, but that's ends my comments.
Thank you, Bob. And likewise, I think it speaks volumes. Looking out, there's no one here from the community. It says you've done what you said you're gonna do. I don't have any issues with the request before us, so. With that said, can I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the request to allow expansion of existing non-conforming use to include live outdoor amplified music. Considerations would be the live outdoor amplified music allowed Thursdays, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time from May 1st through September 30th in a calendar year. Live outdoor amplified music allowed Sundays from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time from May 1st through September 30th in a calendar year. Live outdoor amplified music must only be conducted on the stage designated on the survey noted Exhibit A. as part of the prior Board of Adjustments approval. PR 2023-00002222. Then the fencing must follow approved fence plan, with Exhibit A, as part of a prior Board of Adjustments approval. PR 2024-00000523, and be maintained so that there's a 2-inch or less between the bottom of the fencing and adjacent grade. No gaps in the fence. Fence cannot be located within 2 feet of the property line, and finished sides of the fence must face towards the neighbors, which if you comply to. No campfires are allowed. Annual review by the township instead of this board. If the township board finds violations have occurred, they can request review by the planning and zoning staff.
I'll second it.
Second it. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries.
We'll miss you guys.
Thank you. Ryan.
And just for minutes sake, I was gonna point out, so you did get the approval to have the annual township review instead of having to come back to the Board of Adjustment. But if you were to look at amending any of these conditions, as an example, you wanted to change the time on Thursdays or add a day of the week, anything like that, you would have to still come back to this Board of Adjustment here. The township wouldn't be able to make that approval.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.